Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice Radio. So today, we're going to be looking at the top 10 cards from Fairy Rise. Fairy Rise has leaked in its entirety. I have brought you videos about every card in Fairy Rise, bar a few pre-evolutions. So I thought we should do a top 10. You see, it's been all but confirmed, not officially, but we know it's happening, that Lost Thunder, the upcoming November set, will be featuring Fairy Rise. Which means, unlike Dragon Majesty, which was its own little set, Fairy Rise is just being absorbed into a bigger set, along with Sun and Moon 8 and Thunderclap Spark. Which means a lot of these cards are going to kind of get lost and forgotten, and it's a really good mini set. For a set of like 8 cards, it's really quite over the top good. So I thought, let's do a top 10 just of Fairy Rise, because I tell you what, I struggled to get it down to just 10. I should mention that all of our translations here come from the lovely David Hochmann over at Rappelman TCG, or limitlesstcg.com/translations. So starting off, a couple of honourable mentions that just missed out on the list. Rabombi. I like Rabombi a lot. Rabombi's got an ability which stops effects of supporter cards done to your fairy Pokemon in play, but let's face it, it just stops Guzma. I think Sylveon-GX will really be able to make use of this. Plus, given that Routes is a fairy Pokemon, it means you can build up a Gardevoir on your bench with as many energy as you like, and then bring it active and run through your opponent's entire board, because they can't Guzma it up. I am a huge fan of Rabombi, but only in a couple of decks, which is why it ends up not quite making the list. Similarly, Mimikyu-GX. I like Mimikyu-GX. When I did the video about Mimikyu, I told you that I thought it should be a one-of in pretty much every fairy deck. Unfortunately, there's 2 other cards on this list which fit that description, but I think fit it better. 170 HP is low, but it's got no weakness. And I don't really like the first attack, and I don't really like the GX attack, but Fairy Colourless Energy, 10 damage, plus 30 more for each damage counter on your opponent's active, that can build up pretty quickly. Maybe you play it with something like Tapu Koko, or maybe you play it in a Gardevoir deck to finish off Pokemon. I think there's better Pokemon out there which are going to take the place this could otherwise take in a deck, but I still like it quite a bit. In at number 10, but really these cards fit into 3 tiers, and we're still in the lowest tier. In at number 10, Chandelure, and I happily admit that this might be due to my own bias towards Chandelure here. But for 2 psychic energy, or 1 counter energy if you want to think of it that way, you get to do 20 damage to your opponent's active for each damage counter on all of your opponent's Pokemon in play. You use a Tapu Koko against a full bench, you put 120 damage in total on your opponent's side of the field, and then Chandelure does 240. Yes, it's a stage 2. Yes, it takes 2 energy unless you're behind on prizes and use a counter energy, but it does so much damage here, I've got to think it's worth a bit of a play. In at number 9, it's got to be a pair of cards because they do not work on their own, Ninjask and Shedinja. Ninjask has got a great ability whereby when you play it to evolve an Nincada, you take a Shedinja from your discard pile and put it onto your bench. Then Shedinja has got an ability whereby you can turn it into a Pokemon tool, which is just life dew. Which means that your opponent has to play a field blower every time they want to take a KO. The fact that you can have this going every turn, you never have to recover Shedinja, just use your rescue stretcher to get all of your Nincada and Ninjask back. Every time you bench it and evolve it, Shedinja comes out the discard, then immediately goes on to Ninjask, and you've got a life dew there every turn. Yes, the attack just does 40 for a grass energy, 80 if you flip aheads, but it's not about the attack here. You can wear your opponent down nice and slowly because they're not taking prizes, and that's hilarious. Moving into the second tier of cards here, I really do think you could throw around the order a little bit here, and I wouldn't be terribly upset. In at number 8, Morty and Mina. These are basically supporter cards that you should be considering if you're playing the right type of Pokemon deck. Morty lets you, if you had a Psychic Pokemon KO during your previous turn, or your opponent's previous turn, you get to take 2 cards from your opponent's hand, shuffle them back into their deck. It's kind of like Cyrus's Initiative, but you guarantee the double heads, but you've got to have had a Pokemon that Psychic type KO'd the previous turn. Awkward to use, but I really like it because it's good disruption. As for Mina, you just get to search your deck for a basic fairy energy and attach it to one of your Pokemon. Yes, it's pretty much the same as Gardevoir's ability, though you do get to search your deck, you don't have to have it in your hand, but it's just that extra energy attachment. It means Mimikyu's going in a single turn. The other fairy Pokemon that are going to be on this list can get going generally in one turn. It gives you that extra speed that you need. Some people really think it's not going to see any play at all. I'm in the other camp. I think a lot of fairy decks are going to play this. In at number 7, we've got non-GX Gardevoir, or as I like to call it, New Gallade. Post-rotation, we're losing Gallade, and that's really sad, but Gardevoir fits into that very, very nicely. Remember, it's got a different name to Gardevoir-GX, so you can have more than 4 in total of the 2. You just can't have more than 4 of either one of them. And, I mean, one fairy energy, search your deck for 3 cards and put them into your hand. It's literally Steven's Resolve, which I quite like. Generally, I'd rather just play Steven's Resolve, but it's there. And then for a fairy double colourless, 160 if you've played a supporter card this turn. Which is very similar to Gallade, but you hit the numbers. 160 gets non-GXs like Solgaleo Prism Star, add a choice band, 190 and it gets GXs like Buzzwole. I expect this to see a lot of play. By which I mean it's an instant 1 or 2 of in basically every Gardevoir deck. In at number 6, Xerneas Prism Star, which I am fully aware I like more than a lot of people. The ability says that when it's on your bench you can put it into the active and move as many energy as you like over. You've still got to retreat the active or whatever, but when you move it into the active, you can move as many energy over as you like, meaning you can drop it as a surprise, and then you hit 160, which, as I've just explained, is one of the key numbers in the Pokemon trading card game at the moment. I see this as an instant one-of in every fairy deck, which you couldn't say about Gardevoir, and you couldn't say about Ribombee, and you couldn't say about Mimikyu, but I think this goes into every fairy deck as a one-off, which is why it comes in at number 6. In at number 5, we've got Sigilyph-GX with an amazing ability. If this is your active Pokemon and is damaged by an attack of your opponent's Pokemon EX or GX, put damage counters of the same amount on the attacking Pokemon. Now sure, if your opponent's got good non-GX Pokemon, this becomes completely pointless. But what I love about this is you don't really ever need to attack with it, so you can put it into any deck you like. If they're trying to 2-hit KO you, they do damage, take as much back, and then you use something like a Max Potion or an Ace Roller. If they 1-hit KO you, they may end up being 1-hit KO'd themselves. Buzzwole, because of your resistance, cannot 1-hit KO you without being 1-hit KO'd back. That is hilarious. I don't like either of the attacks, but the ability alone makes me want to put it in at number 5. And in at number 4, Alolan Ninetales-GX. I'm being swayed a little bit by some of you guys on this one. I'm not such a huge fan of this, but the ability says when you evolve into it, search your deck for 2 item cards and put them into your hand. This opens up so many options. It's almost a little bit ridiculous, all the different things we can actually get here. And it just gives you so much consistency, it's got to be worth a go. Then for 2 energy, 70 to the active, 30 to one of your opponent's bench, which will add up quickly, and a GX attack that gets an instant KO on an Ultra Beast, and stuff like Buzzwole are just running the format at the moment. I'm not buying it myself. I think it's good but not great. But so many people are excited about this, I felt the need to put it in at number 4. But I think there is a big divide going into the top tier. I think these top 3 cards are a real cut above the rest. And I do feel very good about the order of the top 3, unlike the rest of the list, which you could kind of wiggle around as much as you want. So in at number 3, Life Forest Prism Star. Once again, it's got that thing just like Thunder Mountain, whereby you cannot get rid of it with a Field Blower, or indeed any item or supporter. And it's just a Pokemon Center Lady for your grass Pokemon. Remove 6 damage counters and all special conditions from one of your grass Pokemon. Yeah, your opponent might just play another stadium to get rid of it, but some decks won't be playing any counter stadiums, and it will literally stay there for the whole game, giving you a ridiculous advantage, even if they can get rid of it. It's Pokemon Center Lady, but it's not a supporter, so you can just use it once during the game. It's wonderful. In at number 2, GROVYL and Sceptile. I didn't feel right splitting these up. GROVYL's got the same ability for grass Pokemon that Gabite had for fighting Pokemon. Once during your turn, you get to just search for a grass Pokemon. Which means if you get all your Trico down turn 1, you need 1 GROVYL turn 2, and then you get all your GROVYL, because 1 searches for 2, 2 searches for 3, 3 searches for 4. 4 searches for any other grass Pokemon, and then by turn 3, all of those GROVYL search for 1 Sceptile, and if you get 1 GROVYL turn 2, you can guarantee having all your Sceptile turn 3. As for Sceptile, weirdly enough, the first attack is the same as the old Garchomp from the same set as the Gabite. That is 60 damage plus you discard a special energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. That's pretty nice. 2 grass energy, 130 move and energy to one of your benched Pokemon, which is brilliant because it means if you get KO'd, you lose 1 fewer energy. And then just heal all damage from all of your Pokemon with grass energy attached to them as your GX attack. It's very low energy, it's going to be great with Max Potion, it's got a huge HP, efficient damage, and GROVYL makes it great. But the best card in the set, and if you've been watching my videos, listening to my podcast lately, you'll know how highly I think of this card. It's Giratina. I think Giratina is going to absolutely change and morph the expanded format. I think it's good in standard. But the ability says, if it's in a discard, you can put it onto your bench and put 1 damage counter onto each of 2 of your opponent's benched Pokemon. This is crazy good. You use Skyfield, your opponent gets rid of Skyfield, you get rid of 3 Giratina, get a new Skyfield, 3 more Giratina, 3 damage counters on each of 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. I think it replaces Execute in Zoroark decks. Yes, I know that Execute allows you to use Trade and all of that, but this gets a lot of extra damage onto the field, helps you hit the numbers, and it's got more than 30 HP. And then, of course, with Mega Gardevoir, which discards its whole bench every turn or can, only to then reuse all 4 Giratina every turn, it's nuts. Or maybe you use it with something like Battle Compressor and Latios to get it going turn 1, getting 3 of them out, and then having Latios going and spreading damage as well. I think this is a great, great card, which is going to absolutely transform the expanded format. Anything that uses Skyfield, this becomes amazing. Anything that uses Battle Compressor, this is really handy. Anything that can discard their bench, this becomes amazing. I think this is overpowered, and I think in the expanded format, it's going to be play Giratina or lose to Giratina. Certainly, if I'm playing Zoroark Giratina, and I come across Zoroark Execute, I'm going to feel pretty good about that matchup. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the top 10 cards from Fairy Rise. Yeah, they're going to end up being in Lost Thunder over here. Some of them are going to get forgotten. I think it's a very good mini set, and I wanted to give them the love they deserved. But now it's over to you guys. What do you think of this list? Do you have any issues with it? Do you want to give me your own top 10 list? I'd love it if you did. Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, but remember the rule, ladies and gentlemen. be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.